You've probably seen these professional looking, polished signatures on your friends or partners' emails, and you're wondering how can I do this? How do we do this? And it's doable. It's fairly simple, actually. I am going to provide you a template where you could start with, but here is a sample. I just sent this one to myself. I am interested in learning how to set up a signature on Gmail. I want to keep my brand colors and logo intact. How do I do it? Thank you, Anonymous. But this would be a typical email you would be able to see or receive once people send. So what do? This signature begins on these two dots or these two lines and ends at this last dot here, this full stop at the end. So it has my name, my title, phone number, website, which is actually, if you click, it should be able to open my website or our website, and then the location. So these are just samples of things that I've picked. And then what are we doing? Like what do we do? So this is like a pitch or explaining exactly what you do. And then there's an image, there's a line that separates it. There's also social media channels that if you click, then it takes. What you want to do is, if you send this to a funder, say a funder, then they can click these links on any email and they are able to get in touch with your work without necessarily asking you for them. So how do you create this? First of all, I like to recreate this image as a logo. So instead of an image for Jeremiah, you want to put your organization's logo, or if it's your personal one, you can also put an image, but I like it round. You can also upload a square one. I'd recommend it to be square and not any other shape, or circle. For this case, you're going to go with circle. So what I do is I go to Canva. So it's canva.com. I had already opened it. So you go to canva.com and then you say create. And then you want custom size. So we say 1080 pixels. Make sure it's pixels. By height is 1080 pixels. Create new design. What you want to do next is to go to still loading. So there's this part that says elements on the top left second row. So on the elements, you want to search for frame. Okay. So when that frame appears, you should get the circle or whichever shape you want, but just grab it and fill it there. And then go to uploads and then upload. I already have my logo, but you can upload your logo. You can see it there. So you click that. You see it's square. What I want it to be is kind of circular and that it fills the entire thing. So what I'm going to do is just drag it and then the frame will pick it up. So I want my logo to have a black background so that this yellow can stand out. So that's how I like to present my icon or my logo. So that is it. For professional emails, you'd be able to export it with a transparent background, but it's okay for us now to export it with a white background because you're using the free version. So hit download, and instead of PNG, just say JPEG. It's smaller, but the dimensions are still 1080 by 1080, and hit download. Okay, so that's how you reframe your logo or your image. This could be a picture. So in the place of a logo, let's say, let me get my one of my pictures here. So if it was my picture, I would just click there and then drag, and you can see the picture has become round. Same thing to this one. The picture has been cropped to round. I'm just looking for images that my face appears. This is some of the work that I've done for the podcast, but you get the gist. If I click, let's say, this picture, hover over it, it takes the shape. You get it. Okay, so what you do, you go back to your email, Tiny Teams courses, and this is where the email was. So what you do is you copy display images, sorry. Okay, so you copy from this last full stop to these 2 lines up here. So you just copy and hit compose. Okay, and then on the message section, just paste. So this entire thing is here. So what you want to do is to change this and call it Tiny Teams Courses. Okay. So what's the title for Tiny Teams Courses? Let's just say Tiny Teams Courses. What does it do? We are say production. Oops, sorry. So instead of founder, I just type production team for Tiny Teams Kenya. Phone number. The website remains, but this is how you change the website. So if you click it once, left click, and then hit change, you should be able to change it to your website or whichever platform. That could also be whatever. You could also change the name. Instead of website, you could say WhatsApp or WordPress, whichever. But for me, it's going to remain as website. You can change it there. And let's say this is our location. And I like having the slogan, we are building bold, tiny teams, join 1,000+ change makers learning how to lead with clarity. If you click on the Facebook icon, you can change that information and add the link. Same thing with X. And yeah, and then the disclaimer, we have our disclaimer here, which I will not change, but you can always add that. And you can see I highlighted it with yellow. That you can change on the AA section. So you just come here to text color, where you can add the background color. So if I want to make it red, see now the background is red, but I don't want to. I want it yellow because we are yellow. And then finally, I like deleting that image, and then I come down here, click that. Oops, sorry. Okay, so sometimes it's for the image, it doesn't accept uploading it as an image. Oh yeah, it actually does. So click insert photo. Now the problem sometimes is it inserts the photo as an attachment, and that's not what you want. But you just grab the photo. Let's see if it's going to pick it up. Ah, nice. So sometimes it grabs the photo as an attachment. You want it to be part of the text. So what you do is you can hit this part that says small, then it compresses that photo. You can see that it's white on the sides. So you just resize it like that. Bam. So that's basically it. So what you do now is that you hit Control or Command A, or just select everything, and then you copy that, and then you go to the top right cogwheel that says settings, and then you go to see all settings, and then you go to general, scroll down to this part that says signature. I had already set up one here, but let me delete actually this one. Okay, so you from general, you go down to this part that says signature, then create new. I say a tiny course signature. signature. I'm going to create that. And then on this, on the right hand side of where you just renamed, there's a white space. All you now need to do is paste it. So you could right click and say paste. Remember, you have these two little lines and you want to preserve them. So that is very, very important. Now, once you're done with that, you need to come down here and say signature defaults for new emails use, click that tiny course signature. On reply or forward use, click tiny course signature. Okay. And now you can just scroll down and save changes. All right. So if you go to compose now, you're able to see your email signature as it is. It says Tiny Teams courses and all this information. So sometimes these two lines appear. If you don't want them to appear, you go to settings again, see all settings, go down to signature, edit that signature, sorry. Yeah, and then there's a setting here, reduce, let me minimize that. So there's something that we had not done here. So there's a part that says insert signature before the quoted lines in replies and remove the ... line that precedes it. Click that one and then save changes. So if you go to your email now and say compose, you should only have these two lines. Okay. And for some reason, this one, this image is not loading now, but I give it time to propagate. But anyways, that's how you set up your email signature. It's a long process, but it makes your work look professional. So let me know your experience working with the signature, and if you get stuck, please let me know. See you in the next one.